What's up, boys? UFC 314 this weekend. We're going to be breaking down Alexander Volkanovski versus Diego Lopez, this main event. So, it really hurts my heart. It hurts my heart to say this, but I think that Alexander is going to go back to bed. I really do. I really do. Listen, boys, it's kind of time to face the music. He's 36, coming off of two back-to-back knockouts. Even though he did get knocked out against Islam Makhachev in round one, it was on short notice. Then he comes back, and only a few months, he didn't really have that much time off, and he gets KO'd by Ilia Topuria. So now Volk took over a year off, so he's going to have a lot of ring rust, and he's going to come back and fight Diego Lopez. Now, the only issue that I have with Diego Lopez, right, this is definitely going to be a close fight if Diego doesn't get him out of here in the first round, because Diego does have power, but that power is going to fade the further the fight goes on. So, for example, when Diego was in the spear, right, Diego had to fight Brian Ortega, who he wasn't able to take out. Brian Ortega, for whatever reason, survived the onslaught of Diego Lopez, which, giving points to Alex Volkanovski, Alex beat the dog shit out of Brian Ortega. You know what I mean? He's beating the dog shit out of a lot of people. Now, to be fair, this was at the spear. This was before the time that Brian Ortega jumped up and down and rolled his ankle against Yair Rodriguez. But look at this exchange. Boom, boom. Stuns him, chases him down, doesn't really finish it, and it just kind of goes into a crazy, scrappy exchange. The spear was awesome. But Lopez kind of doesn't have the opportunity to knock Volky out, if we're thinking about it, right? I do think that Volk is going to end up being outworked just because of how young and hungry Diego Lopez is. And Volk admitted that in the Tuporia fight, he was suffering from PTSD of getting knocked out from Islam, and that's why he wasn't throwing as much or as comfortable in the ring. And I think he's just going to have to deal with the same thing. Coming back off of two knockouts, now you're dealing with ring rust. You've been out for a year. You're 36, Diego Lopez, to be fair, has not really fought anybody in the division besides Ivlovev, who he did take to a 15-minute decision. Lopez does finish things, but none of these people are Volkanovski, right? But the issue that I'm having with picking Volk is he's coming off of two back-to-back knockouts, right? He did take the time off, but I would kind of rather he didn't take the time off after he got knocked out against Tuporia and just kind of threw himself back in there, because now I feel like he was scared to get back thrown in there because he has PTSD. And the longer that he's waiting to get back into the ring, the more anxious he's going to be being in the ring and getting knocked out. So I really do think that we're going to end up seeing Volk going back to bed. And I think it's going to be early. I think Diego's going to put Volky out early. I really do. I really do. I hope he does not. Listen, don't get me wrong. I'm a Volk fan. I thought he beat Islam the first fight. The second fight that he got knocked out, your boy almost shed a tear. I screamed. You know what I mean? Then when he gets knocked out against Tuporia, that ruined my whole day. You know what I mean? It's not good. It's not good when I see Volk fight anymore. And I really just don't want Volk to become the new I don't want Volk to become the new Tony Ferguson. I can't believe those words are coming out of my mouth, but he's on a 2-fight skid. He just got knocked out twice. You know what I mean? Now, imagine if we see Diego Lopez KO, TKO round 1. You know what I mean? It's really not going to be good optics, and I don't really know where Volk would go from here if he does lose. If he does lose, might have to fight Brian Ortega again. You know what I mean? Or maybe you could fight Aljamain Sterling. We know he's not going to knock you out. But if Volk does survive this first round, I do see a way of Volk getting the victory. Diego Lopez does say he's a black belt in jiu-jitsu, but I don't think that his jiu-jitsu and his ground game is as good as Alexander Volkanovski's. Volky's ground and pound is beautiful. I think that Diego striking is going to be really solid in the first round, but if we get out this first round, Volk's chances of winning by decision or just winning by finish. But I think this fight, if Volk wins, it's going to be by decision. Once we get out of this first round, Volk's percentage of winning is gonna be at 50%. Once they go into the second round, 50%. Third round, I would say 60. Fourth and fifth, I'm gonna give my boy 80% of winning, 100%. But first round, it's gonna be very hard to watch. I don't even know if I'm gonna watch my monitor. It's gonna be rough. I do think that Volk's gonna get knocked out in round 1. If I had to put my money on it, I would put Diego Lopez knocks out Alexander Volkanovski round 1. I think that Diego Lopez is going to come out and be super aggressive. That's what I would do. I just saw that you got knocked out by Islam and then Tuporia, and then you had super PTSD coming back from that knockout with Islam, which is understandable, but I'm going to exploit that if I'm Diego Lopez. Now, that's why I'm saying knockout round 1, but if he doesn't knock out Volky in round 1, Volky by decision, man. Volky by decision. Diego doesn't beat Volk on the ground. He's going to have to do it up top. And Volk knows how to fight tall guys. He beat Max Holloway 3 different times. Almost 4 times. They almost made a quadruple. It's not a trilogy. It's a quadigy. You know what I mean? They almost had the quadigy. And Volky won all 3 times. So he knows how to fight against taller opponents. Everybody's fought been taller than him. He's like Mike Tyson. But Diego Lopez is 95. I'm not going to say 95. I'm going to give Diego Lopez 70% Diego Lopez knockout first round. If I had to put my money on it, that's what I'm putting it on. As soon as we get out this first round, though, I'm going to put it on Volk decision. You know what I mean? But that's how I feel about this main event, boys. Later this week, I'm going to drop my picks for the whole card. We got a great card coming up. I'm going to do a few more spotlights on a few more fights. I already did a spotlight on the Michael Chandler Patty Pimlet. Definitely going to do a spotlight on this Bryce Mitchell, Gene Silva. And I might end up doing a spotlight on Dan Ige versus Sean Woodson. You know, I really like Sean Woodson. Anyways, boys, UFC 314s this weekend. We're going to see what's going on. I hope Volk wins, but my brain is telling me he will not. Peace out, boys. I'll catch you guys in a little bit. Peace.